I'm Mark Cerisano, founder of the International Piano Technician School, and I have with me here Kevin Knopp and Stephen Struwve. To tell you the truth, the reason for this call is I want to share Stephen's story with people, but in the back of my mind, it's like they're not going to believe it. So Stephen progressed through 21 units. When you came to me, Stephen, you had taken another piano tuning program?
I had taken another course before and
that was an online course?
Yes. Your course has feedback, and that's something that I didn't have before.
And you say it didn't have any feedback?
There's quizzes, but there's no dialogue. There's no human feedback. A lot of people can take a quiz over and over again and memorize answers, but there's no private lesson. There's no conversation. There's no reason beyond passing a quiz to let the knowledge really soak in.
When you finished that course, why did you look for more training?
I didn't feel confident at all about tuning a piano. I needed feedback beyond putting myself out there and tuning other people's pianos and just waiting to hear if they like it. I just didn't feel good about that. I wanted more confidence.
Could you hear, or is it that you just weren't sure?
I thought I was doing a good enough job to please an average ear. I knew that I had dirty fourths and fifths, but was definitely sick of trying to spend hours and hours in a temperament trying to get something that sounds okay. I also thought I had good unisons before your course, but not to the point that I was confident, feeling that I actually am doing a good job after being evaluated and having that feedback.
Speaking of the evaluation, that's where Kevin comes in. Tell us, Kevin, give us a little bit of background on how you decided to be a piano tuner.
I've probably tuned close to 40,000 pianos. I've tuned for Doc Severinsen, Woody Herman, the Siegel Schwal Band, the Capitol Steps, Philip Glass, some pretty important musical expressions of our country. I saw some of your videos and you know your stuff, number one. And I know the value of one-on-one communication and professional evaluation. And those were the two aspects of your course that sold me on it. I had experience with another aspiring tuner. Her course was basically videos and quizzes with no professional evaluation. And I offered to evaluate this person's tuning, and she ghosted me. She basically never responded to my offer to evaluate her tuning on a concert grand that I tuned regularly. So that gave me a feeling that Mark's course is a legitimate course. If you follow through with that, you're going to have the basis to become a quality professional piano tuner. It's a good, solid course. I knew that Stephen was going to be completing the course, and I tuned at a fairly large high school in Stevens Point, Yamaha C7 Grand. When I evaluated Stephen, I come upon it, and the temperament was masterfully tuned. The tenths were a very consistent progression. Unisons were virtually flawless. In a nutshell, it was a tuning that I could have done, but I've tuned for 40 years.
When Stephen tuned the piano for you, I gave you some background on what I was looking for in terms of levels. I'll just go over those now. So level 1 would be, you're not ready to tune for money, don't tune for money. Level 2, you're ready to tune for non-critical tunings, but don't tune for musicians or concerts. Level 3, you're ready to tune for musicians or for concerts, but I have some concerns. And then level 4 is, you're ready to tune for musicians and concerts, and I have no concerns. So what level did you give Stephen?
3.75. I mean, pretty darn close.
So I've been saying 4 minus. When we talked before, you said 4 minus.
I probably did.
Do you have any idea how long it took you to get where Stephen is now?
Oh, probably 3 to 4 years.
Okay, I want to go over another thing, Stephen, and that is the piano that you learned on.
That's a great point, actually. I started your course on a very small Wurlitzer spinet, and it was riddled with false beats. Really, everything about it isn't great, and there's nothing about it that you can say is good. It wasn't a great piano. It was in my best interest, and I agreed to learn on a different piano. So I did end up getting a different Yamaha console, which has been very nice.
So you did switch pianos. At what point in the units?
It was late. It had to be unit 18, 19.
Most of your training was on a spinet. Then when you went to tune for Kevin, had you ever tuned a grand piano before?
Not with your system.
Using my system, You had no experience.
Right.
Was that different?
It's different in that I felt confident in the system and my operation. Your system is self-correcting, so as you're tuning, you're doing these checks and just having that confidence of, I know what I'm listening for here.
About hammer technique.
The hammer technique I strictly learned from you. The education I had on hammer technique before your course was, start sharp and then ease it flat. Or just knock it in. Things that can work, but there's no system or idea on why isn't this working? Why can't I get this tight pin to settle?
The specific technique you were using on the spinet, it wasn't the same technique you were using on Grand, right?
Correct.
You had to change it?
Yeah, I mean, the spinet, it's a lot more the go sharp, easing flat. On the Grand, it was more slow pull.
So the feedback approach helped you to go in there, start tuning, and immediately know, oh, that's not going to work, and know what to do.
Absolutely.
Do you remember how many hours of instruction you took with me?
We were scheduled for half a year, but I think I finished the course in maybe 4 months.
It was twice a week that's 2 hours a week for about 20 weeks.
Yeah,
So 40 hours.
That's a good estimate, yeah.
A lot of people ask me, how much time does it take every day? And you were doing twice a week, so you were doing twice as much work a person would need to do if they were doing it once a week. So how many hours a day did you work on this?
I'm a perfectionist by nature, and that definitely shined throughout your course. Honestly, having the feedback made me want to get the good scores and get it right. So I really did do things over and over again. But
4 hours a day?
That's a good estimate, yeah.
So 2 hours, if it was once a week, 2 hours would be fine.
I think so.
And also you're working on a spinet, so that was probably slowing you down a lot.
Yeah, I did dive into it. So I'd say if you're doing once a week, 2 hours a day, you're definitely going to get good results.
I'm just going to share the marking system that we use. This is a spreadsheet that everyone has. These are the units here, and you can see that the first unit, 80% is a pass. These first two units, basically all you're doing is being marked on your unisons. That's when you were learning, and then you got the hang of it. There's 100 there. That's tuning A3, A4 as a pure 4-2, pure 6-3 if possible, but this was a large scale, so we had some issues there. And then after that, all very, very high marks. Probably getting into here, we've got the issues with false beats. If it was a false beat, how to clean it up if possible, and if not, then throw it out. So that took a little bit of working, and then your final mark here was 93.5. So very good. Very, very good marks there. Just, Stephen, if you can go over what specifically was there about the training that helped?
Having a system that is clearly mapped out, segmented with that feedback that we get from our one-on-one lessons, and in that lesson, grading your submission.
Did you grade any of your own units?
Yes. I would sometimes grade before I would send it to you, and then, see if
most people who do very well in the course, that's what they do, and I encourage them to do that. Because it is, once you figure out how to do it, it's very easy. Anybody can do it.
And it definitely is an instant way of, here's what you're listening for.
And you also mentioned that being committed helped and spending time doing it. Is there any advice you would give to somebody who's looking to become a piano tuner?
Training with feedback for sure, because that's the only thing that started my progression to actually feel like it was going upwards or anywhere. Without personal feedback, you're going to be lacking for a while and not get there as quickly. The feedback and lessons is what helped me quickly learn.
And what are you doing now?
I'm starting to tune more and more, but I feel like the snowball's starting a bit. It's still very, very early, but it's exciting when the phone rings. End of the day, just playing a piano you tune is pretty rewarding.
I'm starting to dread when the phone rings, frankly. Because, oh God, how am I going to fit this tuning in?
So getting these two technicians in your area who can do tunings that you feel are at a minimum level for you to feel comfortable recommending them has really helped.
Oh, absolutely. It was a complete dilemma for me because I absolutely love my customers. I love the profession of tuning, but I can't do everything anymore. It's a nice problem to have, but it's great to be able to balance it out and not let people have to suffer with a bad tuner who, for whatever reason, isn't going to do a good job for them. I have complete confidence that both Ross and Stephen are number one. They perform quality tunings and they are good human beings that will have a professional approach to their work.
Thanks a lot for coming on and sharing your experience. And I'll share with you one more thing here. You'll be getting this by email soon, Stephen. Your certificate of graduation. World piano tuner with the International Piano Technician School. Congratulations! Woo!
I'll buy you a drink next time, Stephen.
Well, we could just keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good tradition.
Well, thanks again for everything. It's really great to have both sides of the story, from the experienced technician to the new technician. And I think it's really valuable for people to hear.
Well, I appreciate, Mark, you doing this because you are a legitimate, wise perpetrator of the great tradition of piano tuning, which I like to say goes back to Pythagoras. Not everybody gets the richness of the tradition.
Absolutely agreed. All right. Thanks very much, gentlemen. I'll see you later.
Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon, Stephen.